about 2:30 in the afternoon, just 10 minutes before the end of the school day, when the fire alarm went off. And that, they say, is when the gunman began shooting.
I heard screaming. I heard about 5, 6 gunshots. We thought they were firecrackers because it sounded like them. We weren't sure what was used. And we heard the police yelling. We heard banging on the doors.
It's insane. It's unnecessary. There's no words to describe how I feel right now. Like I was shaking. I was panicking. It was all out panic about the school.
Panic. The school was quickly put on lockdown. This picture from a student huddled on the floor after hearing shot after shot. Police say the shots fired from both inside and outside the school. The victims, both students and adults. Many students hiding in their classrooms and closets for more than an hour until authorities were able to track the gunman down. Law enforcement sources tell CNN the man that you see here is the suspected shooter, handcuffed in police custody. His name, Nicholas Cruz. We are told that he was taken without incident at the high school. President Trump tweeting shortly after, quote, "My prayers and condolences to the families and the victims of the terrible Florida shooting. No child, teacher, or anyone else should ever feel unsafe in an American school." It is the kind of official response we've heard after each of these deadly shootings. Rosa Flora is out front near the high school in Parkland, Florida. Rosa, what are you learning just in the last hour about what authorities know about the shooter and the shooting tonight?
You know, at this hour, Jim, we're learning that a bomb squad is scouring through this school. Now, we've learned that the school is a very big building. It's got portable buildings as well. So they're doing this as a precautionary measure. Now, this is after 4 to 5 SWAT teams swept the entire building to make sure that the building was safe. The bomb squad now inside, and we're told that once that happens, then the medical examiner will get access and law enforcement will begin to process the scene. But we are learning a few more details about the shooting from the sheriff from Broward County. He says that the shooting actually started outside the building, that the shooter moved inside, leaving behind a deadly trail. We know that 17 people are dead, 12 people dead inside. And as you mentioned earlier, the intense moments where students were trying to communicate with their parents and parents were trying to do the same, and administrators and teachers were trying to keep calm and peace inside that building so that students could be safe. The dramatic moments, of course, were exchanged through text messages with parents, as if parents didn't want to call students because they were afraid and they wanted to make sure that they could communicate with them in a safely manner. Again, at this hour, investigators here telling us that this scene will be processed. It will take time, Jim. As you know, it's painstaking and, of course, extremely graphic and painful for those investigators that will have to go through that school room by room as the deadly trail from the suspect was left behind.
For the parents, because certainly there are parents tonight who are getting word that their children did not survive. That was Rosa Flores live there at the scene of the shooting. The alleged gunman, now identified by police as Nicholas Cruz. He's now in police custody. Shimon Prokopez is working his law enforcement sources. Shimon, what do we know about this suspect? Because there is some word there were warnings about him prior to this shooting.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There were warnings, certainly from students who have talked to reporters at the scene who have said that they warned, that they knew that this would happen. They all talked about that he liked guns, this shooter. So he was well known, at least to the students. And the other thing here, we've actually learned a lot, Jen, when you think about it. In the press conference that the sheriff held a short time ago, we learned that the shooter here, Nicholas Cruz, had an extensive social media presence. The sheriff didn't really go into a lot of detail about that social media his social media presence, but we learned that there were things on his social media that concerned them, and he sort of talked about that. We also learned, obviously, his age. We learned that he was expelled from the school about a year ago or so for disciplinary problems. We don't know exactly what those issues are, and obviously there's still a lot of things we don't know, but these little things that we do now know from the police, from the sheriff, are going to be key in this investigation, and is going to play an important part, and also is giving us kind of a window into perhaps what was going on with this young man, who seemingly, by all accounts, was known by two students at the school. So the question really now becomes is what people knew, when did they know it, and why didn't they report it? Because it certainly seems when his name was thrown around that he was possibly the shooter, people were not surprised.
Shimon, we're also learning about the weapon, and sadly the kind of weapon we see used so often in mass shootings like this.
Yeah, we are learning, and you know, I want to be careful here because these AR-15, we're told it's an AR-15 style weapon that was used here. It's a large capacity, can fire a lot of rounds. We know that this type of weapon has been used in other shootings. We've talked about this weapon. We've talked about how you know, shooters can access this weapon, and it's been